The only thing I have to say is if you really want to be on a diet, I really believe you need to go to a doctor about it, not just a dietitian can prescribe a certain food pattern for you to follow. And also to remember that when people know anorexia it's not just the food, it's not just not eating, it's a state of mind, it's something that just takes over your whole life. And it also involves excessive exercising and withdrawal symptoms, and everyone just seems to think it's, oh, you don't eat so you lose weight, and it's not just that at all. And so but my biggest comment is if you really want to lose weight, to talk to a doctor about it.
Mm-hmm. Kim, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate it. I do.
Dr. Whetstone, reactions?
Well, I do want to emphasize or underline one thing, the point that Kim made there in that interview, and that is that this isn't just a dietary problem. Typically, it's more than that. It's an emotional problem. It's an addiction, and oftentimes it's a family problem, and the family is really torn apart. And she made the point that her brother was a wrestler. A lot of occupations like modeling or athletes who have to be weight conscious, and ballet and things like that have a real high incidence of eating disorders for that reason. People are preoccupied with weight, and they're looking for an easy way to have less weight. So that's very typical.
All right, thank you. We'll return after these messages. Stay tuned.
That have, or guys that have had a problem with anorexia or bulimia or any other eating disorders as far as that goes?
I don't know anybody specifically. I just hear people who are concerned about it and think they may know people who are interested in wanting to throw up food and everything to maintain weight control and things of that nature.
I mean, if you look at any magazine, any commercial, there's always really thin women featured, and women who are average size look strange next to those women. It's kind of a catch-22 because they'll have articles with real skinny women, and then they'll have next page articles about anorexia and bulimia and how you should eat normal and not worry about your weight and stuff. So.
Society today, as you were stating before, places a lot of emphasis on how you look. Magazine covers like you were talking about, and all the health shows on TV, all the aerobics shows, and then it's beautiful.
Treat yourself right.
Welcome back to Midweek. I'm Stefan Fogelman. We're continuing our discussion on eating disorders, and a new guest has joined Dr. Whetstone and I in the studios. She is the president of the Delta Gamma sorority. She is working on a very special honors project, and she is a recovering bulimic. Meet Amy Yoder. Welcome to the show, Amy.
Hi.
I would like for you to start telling us about the personal story that you've had.
My episode with bulimia occurred after my sophomore year, or actually it started during my sophomore year at JMU, which was 2 years ago. And I was going through a very stressful period in my life, and I reacted to it by trying to control one aspect of my life, and so I chose to control eating. And that's when it all started.
When did you know it was a problem?
I didn't know it was a problem until August, about 8 months after it had started happening. And I'm a nursing major, so I knew all the signs and symptoms of it. I lied to myself. That's a real good thing you learn when you're bulimic. And I lied to myself and I said I didn't have a problem. And it wasn't until my younger sister confronted me and said that she thought I had a problem that I realized I probably did. And
was
so
this at home over the summer? Or?
Yeah, this was over the summer at home.
Now, did you do it because it was easier than dieting? Is that it?
I thought I had discovered the most incredible diet trick of all time, that I could eat all the food I wanted and then lose it, and I wouldn't have to worry about dieting. I could eat whatever I wanted, and I thought I was real smart.
Well, let me ask Dr. Whetstone right now, are there, in addition to the psychological problems of bulimia, are there any health-related problems? I'm sure there's some, but could you specify those?
Sure, many health-related problems. That's why it can be a life-threatening illness.
And it can kill you, I've been told.
More so anorexia, but bulimia can too. Typically what you see in terms of health are ulcers, electrolyte imbalance, which can affect your heart and throw you into cardiac arrest, rotting teeth from all the acid if they're vomiting.
Wow.
bloating in the stomach. Many times people lose their menstrual cycle if they're not eating properly. Of course, malnutrition. Many times they eat the wrong foods and binge on them and then purge. Kidney dysfunction, on and on. I mean, there are many things that can go wrong. And it is an addiction, and as she said, the denial process is incredible. I mean, many bulimics don't want to accept that that's what they're doing and why they're doing that. It's like any addiction, denial is one of the primary starting points.
What was your first step? How did you take the step?
I guess after my sister confronted me, I talked to my parents and I said, I think I have a problem, but at that time I still wasn't facing up to it. And I went through my first round of therapy. I went to a one-on-one therapist, and all through that, there was about a 2-month period. I thought I just needed help with my diet to learn how to diet right and stuff, and I still didn't think I had a problem. And the hardest part of the whole thing was truly admitting I was bulimic.
How much weight did you lose?
I lost about 30 pounds total.
In what period of time?
That was a period of a year leading up to being bulimic. I was on a diet beforehand.
Oh, and do you think that the diet had something to do with it?
I was on a very restrictive diet, and for me it wasn't good because I had a list of good foods and a list of bad foods that I could eat, and it just intensified it, and that's when everything started going out of control.
What was the hardest part? What really took the wind out of your sails in getting back on the regular track of eating?
I think the hardest part was first admitting that I had a problem, admitting that I was bulimic, and the second hardest was realizing that it didn't make me less of a person to have this problem, that I shouldn't have to feel guilty about it because I did get help.
Okay, right. Yeah, I thought I'd gotten to that question before, but I did want to know about the medical end. And I want to know now, do you have a problem, do you still see the problem of wanting to lose weight and fit in? I mean, obviously you won't go back to bulimia, but do you still see it out there, the peer pressure to thin out?
Definitely, especially in college, especially also being in a sorority, that perpetuates it. Just being around girls all the time and just the high stress atmosphere. You have a lot of pressure to look good and exemplify the models on the pages of magazines.
And that's what I wanted to ask you now. Caroline Adams Miller, who spoke here last night, a Harvard graduate and author of a bestseller, My Name is Caroline, spoke here at James Madison University. And in her book, she has discussed her own recovering bulimic symptoms, and she's also discussed some of the things that she thinks are responsible for bulimia. Could you outline some of those very quickly?
She said the press really contributes to the problem. They exalt people like Princess Diana, who is skeletal thin, and they badger people like Sarah Ferguson, who they think needs to lose weight. International competition with gymnastics, the whole thing that you were talking about earlier with sports, that really perpetuates it also. Having to make weight in wrestling or swimming or tennis or gymnastics or whatever. Also the movies, you know, anybody who's held up to the limelight like that.
Let me add one more. Our society seems to have a quick fix mentality. You know, you can have your cake and eat it too. And I mean, starving oneself or eating a lot and purging is a much quicker way to lose weight than just dieting.
Right.
You know.
And then people do want instant results, or they don't want to give it up.
Plus, they want to be able to eat and enjoy food. You know.
Sure. So, well, I can understand that. I can understand on the surface to a girl who's in such a competitive situation, or even to a male who needs to lose weight to get down to the lower weight class, that this thing can seem like a panacea, some cure-all.